I asked you on my community tab, what kind of content do you make? Curiosity content or informational content? Now the follow-up question would be, do you use the right strategy to trigger the right algorithm for that type of content? To figure that out, you have to know how people discover your content. Do they just stumble upon your content or are they actively looking for your content? Let me explain. There are basically two types of content, what I call curiosity content and what I call the informational content. For example, curiosity content could be something like vlogs, pranks, but it can also be news or fun to know or celebrities, for example. And of course, the informational videos are the tutorials, the how-to videos. I do have to know that news and fun to know, for example, you can construe that as informational videos. But I'll explain later why you shouldn't regard that as such. Now the key question, how does the discovery process go? Well, for curiosity content, people just come across it on YouTube. So the discovery process is passive. For informational content, it's active because people are actively looking for a certain piece of information. So I would say that the watch intent for curiosity content is entertainment. And of course, for informational content, it's information. Now, the reason why I say that news and fun to know, or why A is not B, or X is a scam, that kind of content, is not in the informational content because people are actively searching for something. And news, you don't go actively looking for a specific type of news. You want that news channel to suggest that news to you. Yeah, you maybe search on CNN, for example, but you don't search specifically for that type of news. Now, what algorithms come into play for the curiosity content? Those are YouTube Home, so the first page on YouTube, and YouTube Suggested. Those are the videos that are suggested next to a video on a video watch page on YouTube Desktop or below the video on YouTube Mobile. And when people want to have a specific piece of information, they go to YouTube Search. Now, how do you trigger YouTube Home and Suggested? Well, Home and Suggested look at your returning audience. Make sure that people binge watch your content. To trigger YouTube Search, you need to be able to rank in YouTube Search. So, if you want to start a YouTube channel, what is the absolutely first thing that you should focus on? With curiosity content, you should focus on your titles and your thumbnails and also make sure that people reach the end of your video. So look at your audience retention graph. For informational content, you have a little bit more leeway. Of course, you should focus on your titles and your thumbnails and make sure that people reach the end of your video. But the absolute most important thing is focus on keyword research. Do proper keyword research. Let's talk about your personality, because your personality doesn't matter much in an informational video. You don't care about me, about my life, if I have a girlfriend, how my mother or my grandmother is. You want the information. You don't want to know who I am in person. So your personality for curiosity content is extremely important. And indeed, yeah, for news or good to know, that is not a thing. But when you do vlogs, for example, the only way that you can get ahead and get promotion is by returning viewers and making an emotional connection with your audience. Now, what happens in the terms of ranking, how your views graph will look? Well, when we look at a curiosity channel, we always have a peak in the beginning that you also have with an informational channel. And generally this peak is the highest and you will get the most views in the beginning of your video. And then generally taken, this video is pretty much dead. Yeah, it will get some views. But that's the advantage of having curiosity. It can also spike, and then it can spike really hard, and this can be a spike of 2, 3, 4 or 5, 10 million views, for example. Now, when I look at the views graph of, for example, an informational video, of course we have the spike in the beginning. We always have a spike in the beginning. But then it is pretty much dead and slowly the views start to rise. And yes, there can be spikes in here, but that is not the responsibility of YouTube Search. When there are spikes here, and that happened to me a couple of times on my DJ channel, then those are caused by either YouTube Home or either YouTube Suggested. So I'd say you rank here immediately, yeah, and you rank for an informational channel over time, but that takes a while. And I already hinted it a little bit, but with curiosity, the continuity is spikes and the continuity with information is pretty steady. Now let's take a look at the next one, because that one is super interesting. The amount of views that you can get on a curiosity video is tremendous. These videos are the videos that go viral. you won't have viral hits with an informational channel. So I would say tens of millions with curiosity and hundred thousands of views with informational videos. The start of a curiosity channel can be tremendously hard because you need to be discovered via YouTube Home and YouTube Suggested. You don't have a lot of videos, it's hard to return viewers, so the start can be pretty rough for a curiosity video. You can do a much better job with an informational channel because, especially when you rank for the right keywords, when there is not a lot of competition, you can pretty quickly get views on your YouTube channel. So I'd rate this as slow and this as faster. But when we talk about growth momentum, that's pretty interesting because the growth momentum here is tremendously exponential. These are the videos that blow up, these are the channels that blow up, and that won't happen with an informational channel. The momentum is much bigger on a curiosity channel than on an informational channel. Can be, doesn't have to be, but can be. So how big is the potential audience on a curiosity channel? That is pretty big, it's huge in fact. While for an informational channel, yeah, there is only a limited amount of people interested in that specific topic. There are only a limited amount of YouTube creators that are interested in YouTube topics. Now let's talk about the doekoes. I don't know if that's an English term, but the doekoes, the money. Let's talk about the RPMs, the revenue per mils. In other words, how much do you earn per 1,000 views on a video? The RPMs for a curiosity video can lie around 20 cents, 50 cents, if you're lucky €1 per 1,000 views. But the RPMs for an informational channel can be much higher. For example, on my DJ channel, I have an RPM of around 5 to 6 euros. And also on this channel, I have an RPM of 5 to 6 euros. But when you're in a financial niche, which is also information, then it can be much higher because there are more advertisers that are willing to pay more when they advertise to a targeted audience. And when we talk about loyalty, then generally the loyalty of a curiosity audience is much more loyal to the creator than in the informational niche. Because people have much more of a connection with the creator, especially when it comes to vlogs and pranks, yeah, not so much news. And that's why it is easier to return an audience. And when you look at your YouTube analytics and you look at your traffic sources, then you will see that viewers from Home and Suggested generally watch your videos longer than people that come from YouTube search. Curiosity content generally caters to an existing audience, and informational content generally caters to a new audience. But I do have to know that when you purely focus on YouTube search, that you will alienate your returning viewers, and you need returning viewers on your channel because that's a signal to the algorithm that your content is good. So what I would advise you when you have or start an informational channel is to focus a little bit on your existing audience, but also on YouTube search, so a new audience. So to be clear, one does not exclude the other, and they can also strengthen each other. For example, when I want to rank for something on an informational channel and I can't rank for that because there's too much competition, I could try it, but only if my title and my thumbnail and my audience retention is super duper good. And when you advance with an informational channel, you should focus more on curiosity stuff. And maybe primarily focus on curiosity stuff because keywords don't matter anymore at that stage. You can do this curiosity stuff because YouTube knows already the audience. Keywords are purely there to determine the audience for a video or for a channel. And knowing that you can have two types of content on your YouTube channel enables you to develop a strategy based on that. For example, let's take gaming, a super competitive niche. When you want to do Let's Plays on your gaming channel, everybody does that, super competitive. So let's start to make videos targeted towards YouTube search. For example, reviews. People are actively looking for information on games. This way you get eyeballs on your content and hopefully you can get people that interested that they also click over to your Let's Plays. But even on a small informational channel, I would advise to have a couple of curiosity videos on there with a good title and a good thumbnail, because when you get people in, the new audience via YouTube search, and you can make people click over to other videos of you because you have a good title and thumbnail, then when that happens a lot, you might hopefully trigger YouTube Home or YouTube Suggested, and then you can blow up some of your videos on your channel. And that happened also on my DJ channel. And in the next video right here, I reveal the strategies that I use to get this channel from 0 to 1,000 subscribers within 5 months. Oh, and if you want me to coach you with your channel, then you can book a discovery call with a link in the description.